welcome back to Let's Talk. The first place Chicago Bears. Yeah. Nice to see everyone. It's the Friday version of the Sunday game at Soldier Field with the Pittsburgh Steelers and douchebag Aaron Rodgers coming in to Soldier Field to face the first place 7-3 Chicago Bears. I know. When was the last time you heard that? First place, probably 2018. I'm thinking. So, yeah, it's crazy, but we're digging it right now. We'll enjoy it as long as we can, and let's get to it. So today's show, I always do, some stats to compare to both teams and give us an idea what we're going to see on Sunday. First, I want to give a shout. First, I want to thank everybody who watched my show on Monday after the Bears won. And we're then in first place. And thank you. I really appreciate everybody turning out to watch me. It means a lot. So thanks a lot. And as always, I wanted to give a shout out to my little furry friend, Fonzie. It's Aunt Lynn. Hi, Fonzie. Long story. That's all I've got to say. So let's get into it. So the Steelers are coming to town on Sunday. The Bears and the Steelers have played 28 times throughout their years, and the Bears have 19 games. The Bears have won 19 games to the Steelers 8, and they have one tie. And they started their playing in October 1934. So haven't played a lot throughout those years, but let's keep the winning. Let's make it 29 wins, right? Because we want to beat the Steelers, obviously, but I'm sure everybody feels the same way I do. We want to take douche Rodgers down once and for all. I know he's not with the Packers anymore, but he has still been very, very unprofessional, very rude, very just a douchebag about the Bears and the Bears fans. And he has every reason to, because I'm going to give you what he's done to us. He is 11-1 at Soldier Field since 2018. Not good. And overall, Rodgers is 26-5 against the Bears over 15 seasons. So, if you've been a Bears fan as long as I have, you're just like, okay, enough is enough, and he is just, I don't like him. I don't like anybody on the Packers because they're our biggest rivalry. And you know what? I wasn't a big Favre fan, but I didn't dislike him as much as I do Rodgers because Favre wasn't an asshole and Favre didn't beat us like Rodgers has. But, and then, of course, it's a rivalry, so you expect some jawing back and forth. But Rodgers, the last 5 years, I would say, took it to a new level, and it's not cool. It's not cool. It's okay to have fun, but he said some pretty mean shit, and so I want to take him down. He got hurt last week in the game, and he's fractured a slight fracture in his non-throwing hand, and so there's still a chance he might not play, but he wants to play because it's the Bears, and he thinks he owns us. So, what would be really nice is with this new regime, I know there's a lot of new players. They don't really know the rivalry. I'm hoping Ben will instill in them the importance to win this game. Of course, it gives us another win. Then we're 8-3. But for the fans have been through a lot with Green Bay and douchebag Rodgers, and it's time to turn this around. Now, we owned the Packers in the 80s and the 90s, and then it kind of changed. It goes like that. That's just life, right? Up and down. But and I know he's not with the Packers, but I just want to beat him this last time because I don't think he'll be back. And even if he is next year, we probably won't face him. So let's just win, and let's hope the Bears step up and get us a win, right? And show him. And I hope that the defense just knocks him down. Okay, let's get into a few stats, and then we'll talk some more about the game. So, as I always do on the Friday before the game, the Bears, I rank, there's pass, rush, points scored, and points allowed by your defense, and they rate them 1 through 32 teams. So the Chicago Bears are passing an average of 227 yards a game. That puts them 13th in the league. Pittsburgh is averaging a passing of 198. That puts them 22nd. So we beat them there. Rush, the Bears are averaging again, and I'm just digging this, but it's so important to continue it. You can't let up on the gas pedal when it comes to rushing. They're averaging 146 yards a game. That puts them second in the league out of 32 teams. And Pittsburgh's averaging 88 yards a rush in a game, and that puts them 29th in the league. So that's a good thing because our defense has gotten better, but they're not great with stopping the run, and we haven't really faced a lot of teams in the last few games that really run the ball a lot, so or are really good at it. But we're better at them at that too. Points scored by our offense were pretty close, even though it doesn't. Anyways, the offense is scoring an average of 25 points a game. The Bears, that puts them 8th in the league. Green Bay is scoring 24 points a game, and that puts them 12th. Obviously, there's a lot of teams right in there, so that's why. And these 25 points should be at least 35. If not 40. The Bears should, within the last 5 games or so, with all the turnovers they had, they should have scored a lot more points. We know that's an issue. The red zone's an issue for touchdowns. Way too many field goals opposed to touchdowns, and let's hope we can turn that around on Sunday at home, right? The only stat out of these 4 that they beat us in is points allowed by the defense. Not shocking. Our defense is giving up an average of 26 points a game. And Green Bay is giving up an average of 23 points a game, and that puts them 16th. It puts us 26. I don't think I said that. Bears are giving up 26, and they're 26th in the league. Green Bay gives up an average of 23 defensively, and that puts them 16th. So on paper, that's the only one they beat us, but on paper doesn't necessarily mean, you're going to win, you're going to lose. But right now, it's trending up, right? So, and I did compare the 2 quarterbacks. Like I said, Rodgers he was limited in practice yesterday. Today is Friday, so I don't know the status. I'm doing the show before noon, my time, so I don't really know any status yet. So, as I always say, you know what? It could change. It could be Rudolph. What is his last name? I can't remember. Or if that is his last name, Rudolph. Yeah, I can't remember, but it could be their second string quarterback in, but I have a feeling Rodgers is going to be in. So let's just look. So offensively, the Bears as a whole offensively are 4th in the league, which is just crazy to me. And when I look this up, I just can't believe it. But they're averaging per game 373 yards a game, and they have scored 27 offensive touchdowns. The Packers, see, I knew I would say that at least once. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 28th offensively in the league. They're averaging 286 yards a game with 27 touchdowns. So they're doing better, though, in the ratio of yards to touchdowns than we are, because we have almost over 100 more yards a game than they do. But yet we're both scoring the same amount of touchdowns. So that reflects the Bears are not getting enough touchdowns. And it's important. Williams, our awesome quarterback, has a total of 2,329 passing yards with 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and has been sacked 16 times. Now, the touchdowns to interception ratio is still very, very good. We'd like to get those touchdowns up a few. I'd like to see it at 17 on Monday. But it's a good ratio, and we want Cave to keep that up. Rodgers has 1,969 total yards passing. He has thrown for 19 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, and has been sacked 19 times. So he's about the same with the pass interception ratio, but he has scored more touchdowns again, because I said that showed they've scored the same amount of touchdowns than we have, even though we have 100 more yards or so per game than they do. So when they're in the red zone, Pittsburgh is scoring, is really what I should emphasize. They're scoring touchdowns, and that's something the Bears defense has got to stop, and the Bears offense has got to start doing, right? He's been sacked, I don't know if I said this, 19 times. So he's been sacked a few more times than Cade, but he is a lot older. He is an old man after a while. Okay, so defensively, let's see. The Bears and the Packers are pretty much right there. The Bears are rated out of 32 teams, total defense 27th in the league. The Pittsburgh Steelers are rated 28th, so we're right there. There's not a lot of difference. The biggest difference is the sacks and the takeaways. The Bears defense has got only 21 sacks. I would love to see that rise. We know that. And we're going to talk about that after I'm done with the stats. And the defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers has a total of 33 sacks. So much better in the sack area than the Bears. The Bears have 15 interceptions with 8 forced fumbles, and they have recovered 7 of those 8 forced fumbles. Pittsburgh has 9 interceptions on defense with 12 forced fumbles, and they recovered 9. So we're beating them in that area. So, as I told you, we're 27th or 28th ranked. The yards given up by the defense is an average game is 364. Pittsburgh's defense has given up 368. So again, we're right there. The Bears defense has given up more touchdowns, though. That's the biggest difference besides the sacks. The sacks, they're 12 more. They have 12 more sacks than we do. And the Bears defense has allowed 31 touchdowns, and Pittsburgh has allowed 24. So, on paper, the Bears and Pittsburgh definitely look similar. The Bears have a little bit of the edge there, but then paper doesn't mean crap when you're on the field on Sunday, right? But it just gives you an idea. There's really not a big difference in these teams. They're 6-4, we're 7-3, so their record is right there. And as much as I hate the douchebag, he is a pretty decent quarterback. So, and they've got a very good defense, even though some of their numbers does not reflect it. But they do, because they do have T.J. Watt, who is very good. He has 6 sacks this year. So the one guy I'm sure they're going to be watching on the D-line is T.J. Watt, because he is a disruptor, and we do not want him to get in Cabe's face. They are like every other team is going to be blitzing Cabe as much as they can because they see what he can do. They're going to be after him. They're going to be trying to stop the run, of course, because it is second in the league, as I said. And you know what I've talked about. So Pittsburgh, their defense is going to try to stop the run first, and then they're going to try to stop Cabe Williams from passing and running. And that is something that the Bears, we know offensively. So offensively, the Bears need to continue that running game. It has got to be, I always say, it has to be over 100+ yards. You want to be like 140 to 160 to have a really good game and to win that game on the ground. Because as I say, it only helps every yard and every rush play you do and get positive yards. It's just clicking off the time on the clock too. And that's another big thing, because last week the Bears, what were they? They were like 12 minutes, had the ball 12 minutes more than Minnesota last week, and it showed. Even though the game was 19-17, but that's why the Bears won, because they kept the Minnesota Vikings offense off the field, and that's a good thing. So again, the Bears, what the offense has to do is they got to get that run game going again. The offensive line has to continue to help the running game, get those holes open, allow these guys, Kyle and number 25, our rookie Kyle, Amungai, and Swift. We need them, they just have to gash them on the ground. They have to do it. It's so important. And the other really important thing here is when Williams is throwing a pass that's catchable, the wide receivers, DJ Moore, have to catch the ball. Now, he's still, we know, overthrowing, underthrowing, but there was many balls last week and the week before that were very catchable and were not. They were either the wide receivers didn't stretch out enough or they just dropped the ball. And we cannot allow that. The wide receivers really need to step up and help their quarterback. They have to help their quarterback for getting their routes right, getting open, and watching what Williams is doing behind there. Because if he starts to run, that means the wide receivers need to do the same thing. They need to run when they're in back there. They need to get themselves open and let him know. Okay, so it's so important. Wide receivers, I mean, we've got good ones. Rome, Moore. We've got great tight ends. Burden, our rookie, number 10 wide receiver. And I did read this week that I don't know if it's necessarily going to start in this game, but Ben Johnson said he's going to start getting number 10 rookie wide receiver Burden more involved. He said he deserves it, and we need to get this kid more involved because he's got the talent, and we got to throw him out there, and he's got to start making the plays. So I do think we're going to see a little bit more of him this week. I would love to continue to see the tight ends. Last week, tight ends were huge, and they are so important. I love a tight end. I am a big fan of tight ends. They are so important. They do so many things that people don't even realize, mostly the blocking that they do. But if you got tight end that can catch and run with that ball, you're really sitting pretty, and we do. We have two really good ones. We know Cole Kmet has been on the team, 3-4 years now, something like that. And he's really good. And then our rookie, Loveland, is really good too. And I would love to see these two continue to feed off of what happened last week. They were really important because they were the ones catching the balls because the wide receivers weren't. But just imagine if we can get those wide receivers to catch these balls he's throwing, and our tight ends, and a running game, things are going to start to look better. But you got to make this all work, and then at the end, you got to score touchdowns. 6 points with the extra point, 7 when you're in the red zone. And it's really, really important because the Bears have not been doing that. We know that. I showed you the stats. It shows it right there. It's really important to turn that around. If the Bears were scoring from the 30 and 40 yard line touchdowns, then it wouldn't matter, but they're not doing that either. So they get them, but not enough. It's the red zone's a real problem. And if they say the Bears could go to the playoffs, I'm still very on the fence about that. I'm very proud of the Bears. I'm very happy with what's going on. Do not get me wrong, but I've been a fan over 50 years and I've seen a lot. So I'm just kind of being, we'll see, right? But they have to do these other things. They've definitely gone in the right direction, hands down. We're in that next phase, and then we got to go to the next phase. This phase now is scoring touchdowns offensively in the red zone and getting everybody on the same page offensively. So, and the other thing is keep those penalties down. They were good 2 weeks ago. They creeped up to 6 last week, even though there was 8 or 9 of them because several of them were refused. But you can't have those silly offensive line penalties. We've seen what it's done in the past. You got to keep them down again, you guys. I'm digging the offensive line. I think they've really come together. I told you in the beginning of the season, out of all the squads on a football team, the D-line, the linebackers, the backfield, the offensive line, running backs, and wide receivers, offensive line is the one where it really takes a little bit longer to gel. And we've got almost all new guys except for Darnell White, who is awesome. And we picked up guys in the offseason, and it took them a while to gel, and it does, because the offensive line, you gotta know what your partner's thinking on both sides of you all the time. You've got to act and do exactly together. You've got to finishes their sentences, if you know what I mean. It's so important. And each week they've improved. And the penalties the last 2 weeks have improved quite a bit because there was way too many false starts and holding. And you cannot do well on that because if you're always starting behind the sticks, you're never gonna get those first downs, and you're going to get a lot of 3 and outs, and you're going to get off the field. So I just told you what they need to do. Now our defense. We know, I say this every week. If you can't sack the quarterback, get in his face. Now, the Bears did this last week. They did not sack J.J. McCarthy, but they were in his face all day, and they made him so uncomfortable he threw 2 interceptions. And that's exactly what, because as I've shown you, Rodgers will throw them. And because he likes to make plays, he likes to be the hero, so he's going to try to sling that ball all over the field, and the defense has got to make him uncomfortable, make him make mistakes. He's not a big runner. He's old as shit. And you know what? Get him out of that pocket and take him down. Whatever you got to do for him not to complete those passes, you've got to do. So the defensive line, again, so important because it starts with them, right? Whatever they do, the more they do, the less the linebackers and the backfield. It gets easier and easier. And with our backfield still being very, very, banged up, we got some good news coming. But the D-line has been getting a little better, but they're just not getting those sacks. But right now, if you can get in his face and make him make mistakes, fumble the ball, throw an interception, I don't care. Get the ball back to the offense. Cause 3 and outs. That's what the D's got to do. The D-line and the defense, you got to cause 3 and outs. You got to stop that run. And you got to force him to be able to force him to throw the ball and make mistakes. And that's the way the Bears are going to win this game, and it's the only way. If our defense lets douchebag Rodgers get into a rhythm, it's going to be a long day for the Bears and the Bears defense. I'm just saying. So they have to start right away, and they got to come off that ball and just show him who's in charge. There's a new sheriff in the town, and it's called the Chicago Bears defense. Now, I'm sure you've all heard that JJ, number 1, and Gordon, number 6, have been taken off of IR and are designated to return. They just have to get in game shape. And if we could get our linebacker, TJ Edwards, JJ, and Gordon back, this defense is going to be so much better. Because look at last year what they did with JJ and Gordon in the backfield. Because last year, our defensive line was terrible. Our linebackers were okay. It was the backfield, if you remember, that was keeping us in those games, even though we lost them. But they kept us in a lot of games. So if we can get these 3 guys back together, healthy for the rest of the season, it's going to turn this defense completely around. I promise you that. But I will say, the injury report as of today, now it's only Wednesday and Thursday that I got this, so many people were on the injury report, but a lot of them, in my opinion, were on there. I think they were given rest days. They're a little banged up. It's the middle of the season. It's common now for you to have these little ailments. But these are the guys that did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. Edmonds, our tight end. Lynn. Edmonds, our linebacker. Edwards, our linebacker, who's been out. Swell, another middle linebacker. See, these 3 are linebackers. They are the guys that are in the middle that have been helping us, particularly Edmonds and Swell have been very, very, very good. Edmonds leads the team in tackles, and Edwards has been out. And when Edwards is in there, you look at what happens, and it's a game changer. And if you could get these 3 guys healthy and on the field together, so 3 linebackers did not practice. Johnson, our backup running back, did not practice. Now, these guys did not practice at all. The rest of them some of them were limited, and some of them will full. I'm hoping that these are precautionaries. I'm not sure that we're going to see JJ or Gordon. I'm sure we're not going to see Gordon. We could see JJ. He was limited. He was out there this week, but he was limited. So is that precaution, or is he just not in game shape? We don't know. But when we can get these guys back and healthy, it is going to be a game changer. And going into this rough schedule, as I've talked about, would be really, really, really important. And it would really help the Bears and the Bears defense, because JJ particularly, he's another ball hog. Thank God for Bard. I always say his name, number 31. Thank God he's leaving the team with, 5 interceptions. He has been phenomenal since we signed him. Particularly this year, he has stepped up and really helped those linebackers and the backfield. He has just been, without him, I don't know. We would not have won as many games as we have. So he's 31 and he is playing like he's 21. So, man, keep it going, man. Keep it going, 31. You are awesome. And the rest, you know what? So I'm just, I'm putting this all in my head and thinking about everything that's going on with the Bears and the defense. And it would be so nice to get the healthy ones back. And if we can get these guys, Edwards for sure, and JJ and Gordon back in and in for the rest of the season, then I think the Bears have the chance for the playoffs. Right now, as it stands, I'm still not sure. I will tell you more on Monday after I see what they do with Pittsburgh. Even though Pittsburgh doesn't have stellar numbers, they're just one of those organizations that is going to win because they have a great coach, Tomlin, who's been there forever, and they are a winning organization. They know how to win. And they win their division year in and year out. And so you cannot take them lightly. So I will see. Let's see what happens in this game. I think it's really imperative. It's not a must-win like last week's was because they were our division, the Minnesota. And then next week we are playing Philadelphia. So that's going to be real tough, but we're not even going to go there today. But so it's really imperative that this offense, the Bears offense, takes that next step and shows us they can score touchdowns. Now, if they can do that, and again, I said this last week, the Bears, again, need to start out fast. They have not been doing that offensively. They started out pretty fast, but then they stalled last week. So they got to start out fast, put the pedal to the metal, as they say, and just keep going and don't let up. Score every time you touch that damn ball. No 3-and-outs, no penalties, and keep it together, which leads us to my threes. I always say this before the game. I have my threes. And if you win all 3 of them, you're probably going to win the game. If you win 2 out of 3 of them, you're in the game and have a chance to win. It is penalties, 5 or less penalties. I have that rule always. I've always had that rule for the 6 years I've done this show. 5 penalties or less, you're okay. Turnovers, huge. You want turnovers, none on the offense, and you want your defense to have at least 2. Look what last week, 2, and that's how we won that game last week because it was 19-17. And 3-and-outs. I also throw sometimes in their time of possession, but I've added 3-and-outs. Very important. It's a dual thing. 3-and-outs, limit your 3-and-outs on your offense, and your defense needs to cause 3-and-outs to their offense. And if you do that, 3-and-outs are so important because it gets your defense off the field, it gets their offense off the field, and their offense is off the field. Your offense is on the field, and their defense is on the field. And you can run their defense down if you do a lot of 3-and-outs because then they can't even get rest. If our defense can do 3-and-outs, by the time those guys sit down and take off their helmet, you do a 3-and-out, they got to put it back on and come back out, and they ain't going to like that. Defensive guys don't like that. They want a little rest. They get a little pissed off. So important to do 3-and-outs. Offensively, no. Defensively, yes. So that's my threes. And, I pretty much told you everything. You know what's got to happen. You got to continue to play error-free, all phases. Special teams has got to step up this week. They cannot give up those big runs backs from kickoff and punts, how they gashed us last week and actually took the lead because of one of those. We cannot allow that. It's been a bugaboo all season for us. I'm not digging the coach who's coaching. Santos had a miss, but, it's going to happen. It is, unfortunately. So all 3 phases has got to play together. Complementary football, penalties down, offense, keep doing what you've been doing ×2 and score touchdowns. Okay? That's how we're going to win Sunday and bring us another victory Monday. And then, of course, If that's the case, of course you're going to hear the song again. And I know that's why you turn on my show when they win, because you want to hear the victory song. Even though I hate that touchdown song, but I sing it anyways because it's fun. So if the Bears do all this, they're going to win the game. No problem. They can win the game. I know they can. Again, it's not a must win, but it certainly will help going into Philadelphia. It's Philadelphia, Cleveland, Green Bay, 49ers, Green Bay. Oh, no, wait a minute. I was wrong. It's Philadelphia after this game. I think it's Green Bay, Cleveland, Green Bay, 49ers, Detroit. Okay, so a lot of tough games, and I know you say Cleveland, but Cleveland's got a really good defense. They're like one of the top 5 defenses. So just keep doing what you're doing, guys, and you're at home. I want anybody who's going to that game to be screaming their asses off. You got to be loud. Make that douche Rodgers have to be able to make it difficult for them here, cause false starts by them, do whatever. You be the 12th man on the field this week in Soldier Field. You got it? And you know what? I like to throw something in every once in a while, a little interesting. You know how we've been on the refs all season, you know. They have not had one of their better seasons, the refs on a whole, and it's not just the Bears games. I've seen it on other games. So I was wondering about how much do they make? So NFL referees make anywhere from $205,000 to $270,000 a year annually, and that kind of puts it equals to $12,000 per game. Playoff games, championship matches, and Super Bowls are much higher. They get paid a lot higher than regular games, and a lot of these refs have full-time jobs. They're lawyers, teachers, businessmen, executives, federal agents, and one is actually an airplane pilot. So they do a lot of different things besides what they do on that field each week, and it is not an easy job, and I do commend them a lot because they really do a really pretty good job. But this year they have missed some obvious penalties and caused some really stupid penalties that were not fair, you know. So that's my little, information on the show for today. So, thank you for watching. Bears, I know you can do it. I'll be back Monday, hopefully Victory Monday. And you know what? I don't need to repeat it. You know what needs to happen. Everybody put on their gear. Anything lucky, put it on. I got to tell you, though, I watch my games with Dick Buckus. I put the jersey on the couch because it's still a little warm here. Now it's in the 40s and 50s in Vegas. It's been raining all week, which is weird. And then I put my Walter Payton jersey next to him, so I have defense and offense, and I talk to him all game. I'm like, okay, Dick, let's go. It's defense. And I yell at Walter, and I'm always yelling. The three of us talk all the time. Okay, Lynn. And thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Just keep turning me on. Because I'm liking this year a lot. Nothing wrong with that, right? And as always, be kind to one another, love one another, respect people, think before you speak. It's tough out there. And, I don't get into anything one side or the other, but it is. We are all there's good people out there, a lot of them. And there's douchebags like Aaron Rodgers, but let's just stick together, like us Bears fans have forever and ever and ever. Because I can tell you what, Bears teams have not given us what we deserve as fans. That's for sure. And it's time to turn that around, and it's time to take back the division and just run with it for the next how many years, because we've got our quarterback. So at the end of the day, just be kind. And you never know if somebody needs some help them out. Smile at people, okay? That's all. And go Bears! You bring us a victory. Don't make me mad. I may be short, but I'm mighty and old. Okay, and as always, I will see you on Monday and keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby.